So yes, I was instantly infatuated and fascinated with Black people because I believe that they were God's favorite. God spent a little bit more time creating them and put a little bit more love into creating them. So yes, I believed they were the superior race, and going forward in life with that mentality, I just always loved Black people. I always wanted to be around them. I always just thought they were the coolest people. And I was fortunate enough to grow up in a fairly diverse area. So I had many Black friends. Most of my friends were Black or people of color. And I was very quickly exposed to Black music and Black talent. Something that my mom really instilled in me was that white people were jealous of Black people because they were so multifaceted and multi-talented. They could sing, they could dance, they can act, they could make a house a home, they can cook, they can clean. Like, there's literally nothing that Black people can't do. Like, they are multifaceted, they are multi-talented. And it made sense to me as a little kid that, that was what racism was. It was jealousy. Let's be real. Racism 100% stems from jealousy and envy. And just, I think people who are racist usually have an insecurity within themselves that they have to spew this hatred onto to other people, because it just doesn't really make sense. Racism doesn't make sense in my eyes.
I think white people are so triggered by Black joy because they have zero control over it. And white people are all about control. And anything they don't get to control and manage and dictate freaks them the hell out.
They don't get to be the leader.
So I think we should all, as white women, just admit we're jealous of Black women's hair.
These are the results of teaching a certain particular group of people, ethnic tribe or community, the wrong kind of history. Actually, just the wrong history, because white people have continuously been told that they were more superior just because they had a white skin color or a pale skin color. They are better than everyone else. And now seeing that Black people are beautiful or are now thriving in their own skin, in their own culture, in their own aura, it's making them uncomfortable. They are not comfortable in their own skin. Our skin was made to be felt as bad or not beautiful, but now they are the ones who are not comfortable in their skin because they're coming to realize that actually being Black is beautiful. There's so many benefits from being Black, and let's not even start talking about it first. And also, before we go to continue the video, for everyone who has been supporting me in buying me a coffee, thank you so much. I do appreciate. And if you'd like to, there is a link I've shared in the description, and I'll truly, truly appreciate. So let's dive into this video, and then I'll come back and give my commentary. See you shortly.
Racism is about jealousy. If you think that's a reductive statement, please stick with me. When I say jealousy, I'm talking about insecurity, which is really what jealousy is, but I think it's easier to understand if I say insecurity rather than just jealousy. Because we know from appropriation that we are very jealous of other cultures. Why would we want to listen to the music, eat the food, wear the clothes, do the hairstyles, have everything, the language, but not give credit where credit is due and not uplift the people who created it? White people are so lost in feeling like they don't have a connection to culture, especially many of us who are very far removed from our European roots. And I think the need to fill that space and that insecurity of this lack of culture and lack of something to call our own is often filled with cultural appropriation and the idea that being white is superior. I was first introduced to this concept of racism being jealousy in college, and I can't trace it back to one particular scholar, but I would like to give credit where credit is due to that Black scholar. If you can find anything tracing it to one particular person, please leave that in the comments. I think it's important to think about racism in this way if we want to unlearn it. Because, as some people say who are non-monogamous, or anyone who's just working on their relationships, jealousy is an indicator that something is not quite right with us. It's an indicator of our insecurity and how we might be feeling. It's not about what our partner is doing or what someone on Instagram is doing with their life that makes us feel inadequate. It's about something going on inside. And I think we really need to interrogate that. What is it about people of color showing excellence, people of color maybe being more in touch with culture, people of color being more in touch with the environment, people of color making better food, and everything else that we envy? What does that trigger in us? And why do we have the need to put those people down? It's about jealousy. And if we can figure out that we're feeling that way and trace that feeling back to maybe some of our unconscious biases, I think it's a lot easier to start thinking about, how can we unlearn that? How can I feel secure in my identity as a white person who has roots in maybe Italian and like other cultures, but like doesn't really feel connected to anything? How can I feel secure in myself to not want to put others down, whether that be racism or any other form of discrimination, or just plain hating on another woman because she's amazing? You know, I think this makes it seem like racism is very simple, but it also just helps us frame it in a way that's accessible to us. We know that dismantling racism starts with individual work, and personal growth is all about thinking about the hard things about yourself and the things and parts of yourself that you don't like. And jealousy is one of those things. No one wants to be jealous. It's an awful, awful feeling. And we don't want to admit that we're jealous. And we shy away from that, but it's something we can interrogate, and I think that is going to help us go a long way. Anyway, just my thoughts. Happy Juneteenth. I hopefully will speak about this more coherently in the future. Black Lives Matter.
You cannot convince me that racism isn't jealousy. You just cannot convince me. Racism is jealousy. I don't know why it's jealousy. I mean, I understand the jealousy part, but why turn it into racism instead of admiration, you know? But I think that's what jealous people do. You know, the inventors of racism really looked at literally everybody else around them and were like, all of you? All of you. Literally all of you, except us. And I guess they couldn't stand it. And I get that, because they looked around and they were like, so it's everything. It's the face card, it's the body, it's the genetics, it's the culture, it's the food, it's the clothing, it's your homelands, it's everything, it's your women. I'd be jealous too. I'm not gonna lie. I'd be jealous too. I don't know if I'd be heinous like most of those people, but I'd be jealous too, you know? So yeah, racism is jealousy. Highest form of admiration, I guess.
The reason white people get so upset when black people are celebrated is because they believe we only exist to serve them or entertain them. If we do something within our own community for us that doesn't replicate some form of servitude or involve them at all, they feel left out. In their minds, our only purpose is to exist to serve them in some way. They believe that we should inherently sacrifice our bodies for them and do not see us as human with our own autonomy, our own ideologies, interests, capabilities. This is why Trump brought up the fact that immigrants were taking black jobs. He and a lot of other white people believe that black people only exist in America to serve. He doesn't believe that we should be in any leadership positions or any job that serves our own interests or community. The only reason so many people were upset about the halftime show is because it had a much deeper meaning, and that meaning they could not understand. They realized that the entertainment that they think belongs to them was not for them. They think that all entertainment should be accessible to them and about them. They can't fathom how we can do anything other than be a black body for their enjoyment. This is why they always tell athletes who use their platforms to speak about injustice that they need to just stick to football. We don't want to hear your opinion because they don't value us. They don't see us as human. That is their way of attempting to put us in our place. Do what we want you to do. Entertain us,
use your body to play the sport that you're good at, and win me some damn money. Don't even get me started on the way the NFL draft mimics the slave trade. White people know how talented and capable we are. They know how close-knit of a community we have. They know that we don't need them to thrive, but they need us to thrive. If we didn't exist, they wouldn't have anywhere to steal their ideas from. And they wouldn't be able to keep up with the constant demands of life. They expect everyone else to do it for them. A lot of white people only want us if they can profit off of us in some way. Anything that the Black community initiates for ourselves offends them because this idea of white ownership is not at the core of what we do. They hate that even though we have to work 10 times as hard as them to get in some of the same positions of power and influence, we always do the job better than them every single time.
Perspective of a white woman, I've been raised and brought up in a predominantly white society. I can tell you that it is jealousy. And now, my fellow snowflakes, before you lose your mind, listen. Lips, curves, hair, the vibe, the way Black women carry themselves, the way they shine, the way Black women reflect the sunlight.
They're not really racist. They're jealous of us. They want to be Hispanic. They want to be Black. They want to be Asian. They have parties and our culture is their theme. They love Taco Tuesday. They love our food. They love to have parties on Cinco de Mayo. We don't even celebrate that. Cinco de Mayo is not Independence Day. They go and get tans. They inject their lips. They go and get BBLs. They're jealous of us because they want to be us.
Here's one way the welfare Olympians are obsessed with Black Americans. White women are too obsessed with everyone's hair but their own. They are obsessed with different braid styles, sew-ins, and even claiming a recent stake of ownership in lace front wigs. They have so much to say but can't back it up because of their ego. And because they are so in their ego, they are too afraid to admit that they're obsessed with any and every style that Black women do. They use obsessive and demeaning and unnecessary comments like, "Is it real?" or "Is it all yours?" Insane entitlement, thinking that you can just touch a Black woman's hair, being super confused when they say no. They even laugh about it when they are told no because they are that obsessed and think that they are that entitled to touch a Black woman's hair. They literally think it's a God-given right. They demand to touch it. They will search to the very ends of their Mary Poppins bag to find a comment to say, "I promise you." White women and men do not have creative motivation. So when they see Black people have creative motivation, they become obsessed with the ideas that they see. They aren't able to breed creativity, so they become obsessed with the creative expression that they choose not to have. In simple terms, it's laziness. They are so mad and obsessed that they're now getting laws created to limit Black creative expression. All of this hate when they could just admit that they're obsessed.
I think the real reason that some white people get upset or like don't understand when they see Black people in spaces that they're in, or Black people in positions of authority or advancing and things like that, the reason that they relate it to like, well, it must be like you're getting something that you're not qualified for, like it is racism, but there's another underlying part of that, and it really boils down to the fact that they can't fathom a reality where you advance in life, where you get a position, where you move up at all without stealing something or stepping on somebody or exploiting somebody. They can't, in their brain, they don't have any recall within their collective history of any time period where they've been able to build without stealing or massacring or doing something to somebody else. So like when they see another group of people, whether that be Black people or POC, in positions that they feel like, well, no, that's my position. And when they see them, they think you couldn't have got it any other way besides taking it from somebody and like stealing it. There's no way you actually worked for it, because in their history and present day, they don't have, even within the country itself, standing up the United States, they don't have any like precedent of like existing, like moving up, like building without taking something from somebody, without stealing. Like they have no creativity in their mind. Well, not even creativity, they have no recall. and lack the imagination to imagine that being a possibility. So when they see a black person or a POC in spaces and things like that, it's got to be the DEI thing, even though it don't make sense. That's the only thing they have in their brain. It's like the only way you able to make it, the only way I know you make it in this world is by stealing stuff and like, you know, exploiting and like taking things away from people that belong to them. Think things, and that's it. That's all they got. So yeah, it's the racism, of course, but it's also there's another part of that psychologically where they just don't have the recall. There's no precedent set yet, and they refuse. I don't know, to set a precedent where they can, you know, advance, evolve without exploiting or stealing from other people across the globe and right next door. You know, so that's it. They just can't understand in their brain and just don't connect. Like, how were you able to make it as a black person? And then to look at a black person and know like black people's history of subjugation and oppression, and then see you actually moving, they're like, no, there's absolutely no how you fucking doing that. Blows their brain. So they had to come up with something, and the only thing they come up is what they were able to do since the beginning of days. And by the way, yes, that is stealing from other people, taking all the things, culture, resources, land. That's it. That's all they have, unfortunately for them, because eventually you keep resting on the fact you got to steal while other people making advancements on their own, pulling their own selves up by the bootstraps, even without fucking boots, making the boots themselves. Come a day where you don't even know how to make boots. You don't know how to do anything.
White people are addicted to power, and this is something that they have been taught by their parents and the parents of their parents. Like, it has gone down in generations. These are things that have been taught, and that's actually they're still being taught in schools, that white people are more superior to each and every other ethnic group in the world. I think that comes from a point of trying to make, because the people who wrote history books are white people who history favors, that those are the people who write history books. And coming out from school and getting out to the real world and realizing that black people are actually prospering more than white people. Black people are not what you thought they are. They're not what you're taught in school. You're taught in school that black people will go down when you go up. If you're yelling at a black person, they are going to calm down because they believe that you are more superior to them. You believe that once you say your racial slurs to a black person, they're going to back down and get quiet and probably run away from you or say sorry. And then you come to the real world and then you realize, oh, I could get slapped. I could get beaten up for this. Yeah, this brings jealousy, because if you're taught that you're superior to everyone else and then come and realize that the people that your ethnic group continuously enslaved, battered, oppressed, and suppressed are now coming out beautifully and excellently and are prospering way more than your ancestors could ever predict, brings that kind of jealousy, because black people have done so many things. To say the least, I'm going to talk about just a few. There's food, good food, culture. Even their aura is amazing. Even the styles, fashion, because they have also brought out beautiful fashion. I say they, even though I'm a black person, but I'm going to say they because why not? I'm also a black person. So fashion, music, sports, even political standards. Because right now, if you're going to make a decision that does not favor black people, you're going to answer to black people, because why did they vote for you in the first place? If they voted for you, they need you to work for them. And even in sports, there's also a certain caliber that sports has actually had to, get to, because black people are continuously raising the bar on how things are supposed to be done. From tennis to golf to basketball. These are things that are really dominated by black people, even marathons dominated by black people. So it's amazing to see that black people are changing so many things that white people made sure to put so that it can favor them. And that obviously brings jealousy. And realizing also that black people do not sit down and let you talk over them. They don't take disrespect. They are not primitive as you were taught in school. You wonder, how do the two things, correlate? Seeing a black person walk and they have so much aura, seeing their skin glow in the sun, see their hair glow in the sun, like they just show this beautiful aura without even trying. I think, if you see now, what is the difference between black people and white people is black people are ready to accept you into their community. Like, they're ready to tell you, oh, you can come to a cookout, you can come to a wedding or a party, and you can be whoever you want to be. But now if a black person goes to a white party, now that's where the problem is. Because if they probably wear how they usually wear probably in their own weddings, and they come to a white wedding, they'll say that they are overdressing, or they look way too much, or why are they looking way better than everyone else? You see, there's that point of not understanding each other and where people are coming from. So I think that white people should understand that black people don't even have a problem with them. They're actually very accommodating, very kind people. Otherwise, if they weren't kind, they would be treating white people the way they were treated. Because, to say the truth, black people are way more in the world than white people. Black people are way more than white people. If they wanted to decide to do certain things, they would. But they're choosing to, try and live peacefully. Even when they march in the streets, they are marching peacefully, not with violence, but with excellence, coming from a point of, we want to sit down, listen to us, we'll listen to you. You see? So, come and sit down with a black person and understand where they're coming from, and try to be kind and accommodating to them the way they are to you. Probably it might bring something different from the world, accepting that you are actually jealous and coming to terms with that fact, and then trying to learn where that is coming from, and trying to, connect with these people. I think it can bring such a big difference, because black people have continuously tried to connect with white people. White people have not really wanted that kind of connection. And I think once white people stretch out their hands, they'll see that it's not really bad, living together as a community and sharing cultures together. Because we have no problem with that. We can share our culture with you. It's not a problem. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you're a white person out there, I hope you've learned something. If you're a black person and you have a white friend who you see like they're kind of jealous of you, just tell them, I can teach you a thing or two so that you can, show aura too, instead of, acting funny around me. I hope you have learned something, you have enjoyed, and if you have, kindly do consider sharing, subscribing, and liking. Share to your friends and family. Let them also join this group. Let them join my community. And I hope to see you in the next video. Goodbye.